Alright, 5 seasons, 5 minutes.
Let's go!
The show opens with Tokyo on the run from a failed heist, and then her guardian angel arrives, that Professor, who's a professional robber and deeply studies his heist. He offers her a job to rob the Royal Mint with Berlin, Denver, Nairobi, Helsinki, Moscow, and Rio. Berlin is very pretentious and has a superiority complex, and he's kind of a creep. Nairobi has a lack of direction in her life and has trouble forming relationships. Helsinki has never had a family and finally found one, and his only friend, Oslo.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device. And
Moscow acts as the father. Rio is very young and naive. He's a certified lover boy. But one of the rules of the heist is to not form personal connections. Then Rio and Tokyo fall in love. Also, Moscow is Denver's father. Then they go to the Royal Mint. Tokyo, being hot-headed, she messes up the plan by leaving the bank too early, which causes Rio to be shot, which hurts her a lot because her ex died in the same way. Oh yeah, it's a rule to not kill anyone. Which then starts the cat and mouse game with the inspector. The plan is to buy as much time as possible because the more time they have to print, the more they get. After a hostage uprising, Oslo is in a vegetative state. While all this is happening, the professor fell in love with the inspector, not knowing he's the lead in the heist that she's working on, which parallels Denver and Monica's love story, her being a hostage and all. Oh yeah, she's kind of with Arturo, which leaves him down terrible. Helsinki is forced to kill Oslo. Staying for 11 days, they manage to print almost $1 billion. Moscow tells Denver he's not good enough for Monica, which fuels his insecurities. Tokyo gets kicked out because Berlin doesn't want her to be the leader, but she comes back. But when giving her cover fire, Moscow dies. The inspector starts to find out the professor's actually Sergio. The plan to escape is to dig 2 tunnels to trick the police into thinking they got them, but leaving through the other one. The inspector, Rachel, finds Sergio, but lets him go because they're in love. As the police rush in, Berlin stays back to allow everyone to escape through the tunnels, which ends up killing him. And everyone lives happily ever after. Never mind, Rio decides to use a phone, so the government comes after him. A pregnant lady named Alicia kidnaps him and tortures him. Everyone else is living their best life. Tokyo finds the professor and he comes up with a plan to honor his brother Berlin and to get Rio. The plan is to melt gold in tiny pieces and with a pump move it through the pipes to the stormwater tank. Some of the new members are Palermo, who helped create the original idea for the heist. Bogota, who helped get the pump. Also Palermo, who loves Berlin. Bogota loves Nairobi. Oh yeah, Nairobi loves Helsinki, but none of them love each other. Then the cat and mouse game begins, but now with Alicia. She gives Rio back, then uses Nairobi's son as bait and gets her shot. Finally, the professor breaks down after he's tricked into thinking Rachel died and orders a rocket to be fired. One of the hostages, Gandia, is also a very dangerous soldier. He gets loose by a tip from Palermo, who switches sides. I'm leaving out a ton. The thumb man perfectly brings all the show's themes into one character, him being a sign of authority. He captures Tokyo, but doesn't kill her because she's unarmed. But then they manage to get in front of him and behind him, but still can't kill him. He makes Nairobi a hostage, and he promises to not kill her, but then he kills her. It's kind of funny how he would kill a wounded person, but not kill an unarmed person. Arturo, trying to be a hero, he does a second hostage uprising where they find an arsenal of weapons in which he uses to make an explosive firefight. Monica has to kill Arturo, her former lover. Alicia gets thrown under the bus for torture. She's kicked off the police force. Oh yeah, I left a ton of stuff out about like how the gang tries to be like good in the eyes of the public so that they can like almost act as like the people standing up to authority. But anyways, she essentially has the same story as Rachel, minus the romance. They kind of switch sides. The army is called into the bank. Now there's like 7 of them, and remember, they couldn't even kill one. The military injures Helsinki. Monica saves Helsinki from his life-threatening injuries, but her guilt over shooting Arturo leads her to see visions of him, and she begins to break down. Tokyo sacrifices herself by suicide bombing and taking out 4 of them and injuring 1. Having been defeated, the army guys negotiate a deal, but one of them is actually still on the wall. Flashback to Berlin's son. Berlin teaches him how to steal things. Then he steals a step bomb. What? The gold is finally transported. Berlin's son steals the gold, but they get back because family. I don't know. But the gang is captured by the police. The professor turns himself in. The professor realizes that he's been lying to himself, putting on a Clark Kent costume and pretending that he's not egotistical. But his final checkmate is since the gold is the country's reserve, the stock market crashes, but the professor publicly gives back what looks like gold and fixes the stock market. But they find out it's not gold and they leave in body bags. Just kidding, the police fakes their death and they finally live happily ever after. Subscribe.